Am I the a-hole for telling my dad what my husband saw my sister doing? Oh, we got a little tattletale. Let's see if it's justified. We have all the updates for the story, and it's pretty recent. It started July 20th, 2026. I could really use some outside perspective because this situation has been weighing heavily on me, and I'm struggling with how to process everything. My sister has been married for almost 20 years. Earlier this year, her husband suffered a major stroke and was hospitalized. He was discharged in March of 2026 and has been left with significant disabilities and new limitations. That is so sad. It has been a life-changing event for him, my sister, and their family. During this time that he was in the hospital, I tried very hard to support my sister. I could see how scared and overwhelmed she was, and I repeatedly told her that she wasn't alone and that we would be there for her. I offered help however I could. When she was worried about how she would manage things at home, I even offered to help pay for a ramp for their house so he could safely get around. There were nights when she was at the hospital late and I gave her rides home so she wouldn't have to walk home alone at 3 a.m. Before his stroke, her husband was always the primary provider in their marriage. My sister has not worked outside the home during their 20-year marriage. So after his stroke, the expectation was that she would be the person helping care for him while he adjusted to his new reality. As time went on, I became increasingly concerned about whether he was getting the support and care that he needed. He still has a nurse who comes by once a day, and I was told the nurse had concerns that he was always being left sitting in his own urine for hours before she arrived. That breaks my heart. That is so sad. There were also situations where I was told he was being left alone for extended periods of time and struggling with basic needs. Knowing how vulnerable he was after a major stroke was heartbreaking for me. Last week, my husband saw my sister at the back of her restaurant with another man. He said that they were holding hands and it looked like a date. I asked him a ton of questions and he described the guy, and it definitely wasn't her husband or a family member. I want to be clear that I do not know the full truth and I do not want to accuse someone of something that I cannot prove. I brought my concerns to my sister because I felt it was important to have an honest conversation. I explained what my husband had seen and why it concerned me, especially given everything her husband had just gone through. Yeah. She confirmed that it was her and that she was there with another man. Her response then was to avoid really addressing what I was bringing up after that. She did not provide much explanation or engage with it, which I found unusual and left me with even more questions. I was not looking for a fight or trying to shame her. I wanted to understand what was happening because I cared about both of them. It obviously looked bad and I didn't want to think the worst, but why wouldn't she just tell me then? After I spoke with my sister about what my husband had seen, my brother-in-law called me that night. He asked if my sister had been with me all day. I told him that I actually had not seen her in a few weeks. He got emotional and started crying. He opened up to me about what he was going through. He said he thinks that she's been sleeping with someone else, and I listened to him. Hearing him so upset was very difficult because I knew how much he had already been through after his stroke and how vulnerable he was during this time. I felt uneasy and I spoke with my dad about my concerns. He seemed to understand why I was questioning the situation and said actually that would make a lot of sense. For context, my dad and I have always been close, and I've actually saved his life a few times when he was in tough medical situations, and I stayed by his bedside for weeks. I had an opportunity to move abroad, and I decided to stay close to him after my mom passed away. I bought a house a few blocks away. I'm there whenever he needs anything. He explained that my sister had told him she had been doing certain activities alone that are not normally things people do alone, like going to the movies or going for hikes. Have you guys ever gone to a movie alone? I actually know a handful of people that go to the movies alone. They think it's fun. I've never done it. It's on my list. I want to take myself out for like a solo date, like an actual date. Movie, dinner. Oh. How fun would that be? I'd probably be bored. He said he could understand why I was questioning whether she may have been spending time with someone, and that would fill in some gaps for him. He also said that my brother accused her of cheating on him. I said maybe it was something else and said maybe it was a friend or a family member. He said no, probably not. The next day, my dad called me and the conversation was completely different. He told me that he was up all night and that he thought what I was saying was BS and that he would only believe it if it came directly from my sister. I asked him if he thought my sister would be honest with him if something was really going on. He said he was not going to confront her and that he didn't think she would tell the truth anyways, but that eventually the truth would come out because someone would see her. Someone already has. I told him that I felt like this was exactly what's happening now because my husband had seen her. I asked him if he thought my husband was lying. He said no, and that he believed my husband was telling the truth, but that he did not want to hear about it anymore. Then he got really angry with me and told me that he was not going to hear anything bad about his daughter from anyone, and that included me. I told him, I'm your daughter too. He said, I know, but I'm not going to effing tolerate this from you. He then told me to go pound salt and said he never wanted to talk to me ever again. What's going on? Why is he getting so mad about that?
What do you mean?
He said he did not want to hear anything about this from me ever again, and then he hung up on me. A few hours later, I tried calling my dad back because I did not want things to end that way, and I wanted to try and repair the conversation. When he answered, he told me to F off and hung up on me again. Well, that's the last time I'd be calling. Since then, I've been deeply hurt and heartbroken by everything that has happened. At this point, I do not feel like I can keep reaching out and putting myself in a position to be rejected. I have decided that I am not going to contact my family again unless they reach out to me and are willing to apologize and have a respectful conversation. My sister also reached out and said she would be dropping off some of my belongings tomorrow, and then that's that, which felt like she may not want to have a relationship with me moving forward. That has been incredibly painful. I'm trying to look at this objectively. Am I wrong for feeling this way? If you believed a vulnerable family member was possibly being neglected or betrayed after a life-changing medical event, how would you handle it? Would you speak up or stay out of it? I'm not looking for people to attack my sister. I love her. I'm genuinely trying to understand if I handled this wrong, if I crossed a line, and how to move forward with compassion while also being honest about the situation. Edit. It has already been reported by his care team, so they are already aware. Also, his family is now aware of the situation as well. My brother-in-law has a big family. He is the oldest of 4 siblings who are all married and have kids, spouses, the whole deal. I'm not sure how much they can support him. His parents are in a retirement home, but they're aware, and they all went out for breakfast this morning to talk about it with him. That is like the biggest point of this whole story. I just hope he gets the care that he needs. That's heartbreaking. Let me know your thoughts so far, but you know where we're going. We are going right to the Reddit comment section. Someone said, why would you tell your dad your sister is an adult, your dad doesn't control her, and isn't able to punish her? Unless your plan is to isolate her from her family and all support, keep your mouth shut. Okay, fair. She wrote back and said, I wanted his perspective. I didn't want to assume the worst about her, and I was hoping he knew something I didn't. And well, I guess to your other point, he could leave her out of his will or scold her or something if he wanted to punish her. He obviously didn't have a problem doing that to me, but yeah, I would never want to isolate her from anyone. I do understand the perspective that dad doesn't need to be brought into this situation. You had a conversation with the sister, with the brother-in-law. I can see that.
I could see that as a very real possibility.
That maybe dad is so angry because now you put him in the middle, in a sense, and you're both his daughters. Next comment, I'm going to assume your dad is a boomer. She wrote back and said, yep, just turned 68 this year. Next comment, does this sister work at Quick Trip? Because I had a similar scenario where this woman tried taking me out on a date after telling me her husband had a stroke. And is she a little white chick? Huh? You really think that it could be the same person? OP wrote back and said, my sister doesn't have a job and hasn't worked for years now. Not the same person. Your sister has not worked. I remember you saying that. Next comment, your dad is projecting and overcompensating because your sister told him the truth. She is incapable of standing by her partner while they are recovering. She complained about how hard it is. Your dad took that and ran. He is now covering for her because he doesn't want to admit that he has been in the same position as brother-in-law. Your dad saw the cruel truth of what it's like to be in need and essentially be a burden to those around you. He wants to prove that reality isn't true. I forgot about that because of her mom being sick. OP responded and said, honestly, about the projection part, now that you're saying this, it reminded me that my dad was distant when my mom was going through cancer treatments. Next comment. So your dad cheated on your dying mother, took no accountability, and said he never wanted to talk to you again? Bye, biatch. I am not one to advise going no contact lightly, but I would expect one hell of an apology from him. She responded and said, no, I don't think he cheated at all, but I do think it was very emotionally hard on him to process, cope with, and also get through it. It made him freeze when he should have acted on things more often than not. For example, when making funeral arrangements, my dad would throw his hands up and refuse to make decisions whenever the funeral home asked him a question, that sort of thing. We have the next update, which came July 24th, 2026. First of all, I wanted to assure everyone who was worried that brother-in-law is okay. The night after all of this happened, I saw that brother-in-law removed me from social media and I couldn't get a hold of him. Turns out my sister took his phone and blocked me on it, and she didn't tell him, so he thought I was the one who blocked him. I still had him on Instagram and I reached out there and we figured out what had happened. Right when you said it, I knew it was her.
I knew it!
Long story short, I reached out to my sister. He's being taken care of by his family now, who are all stepping in to help. Turns out they never liked my sister and over the years have slowly drifted apart and were even estranged at one point because of her. They didn't like the way she treated him or the rest of the family, and he would always defend her, and so it caused a rift. At first, I wasn't sure how this was going to go, but they are all coming together for him after some emotional moments and apologies. He has 2 sisters and a brother who are all married, and they've all been checking on him regularly between his siblings and their spouses. They've all upped the nurses and PSWs coming over, plus his rehab appointments for physio, and my brother-in-law has also joined a few support groups that have been coming to his place to pick him up and to take him to the community center for their group meetings. The volunteers check on him during the pickups. He's also going to therapy to help him deal with his new normal. All positive updates. I'm really happy he's getting so much support and help. I think he is good for now, despite everything else being emotionally taxing. However, my sister did confirm that she is going to divorce him and they're looking into housing and care options for him because they would have to sell their current home. The plan is for her to move in with my father. I already know that's not going to go well. Their lifestyles definitely clash. They have lived together before and it was nothing but arguments. My sister is lazy, very messy in the kitchen, and a bad cook who gets upset over any even perceived criticisms. My dad is very particular about the kitchen and his food and tells it like it is, as he sees it. So I can't see that working out. My sister seems to cause havoc wherever she goes, and this will likely not be an exception. So I thought about what I would do if my daughter came to me to tell me something like this about her sister. If I put myself in the father's position, I would probably have several emotions at once. My first reaction would likely be concern. If my daughter is married and another daughter tells me she saw her holding hands with someone else, I would realize that's a serious claim, but I would want to avoid jumping to conclusions, and I wouldn't want to think that way about my daughter. I get that he has some hard emotions here, but I'd also appreciate that my youngest daughter trusted me enough to tell me. She is bringing me something that she believes is important and looking for advice. I wouldn't want to dismiss her or make her feel like she had done something wrong simply by telling me. That is absolutely bad parenting, especially to react the way he did and treat me so brutally. I wouldn't want to get in the middle of my adult children's marriage. I'd have to think carefully about whether this is something I should act on or whether it's primarily between the married couple. Parents sometimes get involved where they shouldn't, and I get that, but they should also be able to bring up their concerns as well. So my response would probably be something like this. Thank you for telling me. I know this couldn't have been easy. I don't know exactly what happened, so I'm not going to make assumptions, but I appreciate that you came to me. Maybe that's hoping for too much, but I think you get my point. I would want my kids to know they can come to me about anything, and they shouldn't be afraid of that or made to feel bad about it, especially when it's hard or difficult to do. I would not be angry at the daughter who told me, unless maybe she had a pattern of deliberately spreading false rumors or trying to cause harm. If that were the case, it would be annoying for sure, but also expected, and I would not take it too seriously. Parents out there, if you have more than one child, I'm curious what you would do in this situation if one of your children came to you with such information about one of your other children. That's tough. But that isn't the case here, and simply telling me what she or her husband witnessed wouldn't by itself make me think that she had done anything wrong, especially when it was done the way I brought it up. I didn't make assumptions, I didn't accuse her of anything or label my sister as anything. I simply told my dad what happened, and I was worried about them not having enough support in a challenging time. I also thought about how I would react if I were in my sister's shoes. Like if someone thought I was cheating on my husband and saw something, my response would have been to clear up the situation and explain it, or maybe even laugh about it, rather than lash out in anger. I think her reaction actually just confirmed that she is definitely a lying cheater. As for my dad, he called me yesterday, so about a week and a half of us not talking, which isn't like us. He called me, I was in the middle of something, but I thought if I didn't answer, it could get worse. He was very curt with me on the phone. "What's up?" is what he said first when I picked up. Very short and abrupt, not the usual, "Hey, how are you?" I ignored his "what's up" and I asked him what he was doing. He said he was sick and getting over a cold and had felt off and like something was wrong all week. Then he said he just wanted to make sure me and the family were okay. He asked me how my daughter's birthday went. He was invited before all of this happened and he did not attend. Normally I would send him photos or a video of her blowing out the candles, but I didn't bother this time. He said he didn't come because he didn't feel well and didn't want to get her sick on her birthday, but that he had a gift for her, and then he got off the phone. It was short and quick. I didn't want to get into it, but I do want an apology. He shouldn't have talked to me like that, and whenever I have the time or chance, I'm going to tell him that it really hurt me the way he spoke to me. Regardless, this has changed the view I have on my sister and my dad. It hurt me so deeply that my dad could talk to me like that so easily. It also made me think about a ton of other scenarios, stuff that happened with my mom, and how my dad acted in those moments says a lot. And as for my sister, it also feels like a huge letdown. I have always given her the benefit of the doubt, and clearly that has been grossly misplaced. I really believed that she was a better person than this. Like, yeah, I've had my doubts, but I knew when push comes to shove, she would always do the right thing. But that is not true. The disappointment hurts and it's hard to accept, but I am trying to see it for what it is. I know that people are all on a spectrum, not all bad or all good, but this feels too far gone, and I don't want someone like that in my life or around my kids. I've always been the one who steps in for them. I'm not going to do that anymore. Her and my dad can rely on each other from now on, and whatever mess that looks like. I am just going to concentrate on my own family. At my daughter's birthday party, I realized how much support we have around us, and my best friends that I've known since I was a baby are both more like sisters to me than my real sister ever has been. I love them so much, and we all have kids around the same age, so it really does feel like our own family. I'm going to concentrate on that and put more effort into the good relationships and slowly drop the bad ones, even if they are family. I could use the same excuse for them in reverse. If they're supposed to be there for family, then why weren't they there for me? So I'm slowly going to step back and let them have each other. I don't want or need that in my life. It's pretty crazy that the entire situation with your sister and her husband has caused other family relationships to end. Yeah. I'm really hoping there can be some kind of resolution here, but yeah, I mean, it would be hard to stand behind your sister's actions if she did in fact cheat on her husband, and even the lack of care that was stated in the story. How do you stand behind that? That would be difficult. All of this is difficult. We are going back to the comment section because she was responding to people, so maybe we will get a little more info. But first, it's hydration station time. All aboard, drink your water. Cheers. You guys, look how gooped Lila is right now. She matches the pillow. God, dogs are so cute when they sleep. First comment, do not let your dad get away with how he treated you. Don't let him act like it never happened. Every time he calls, say you still owe me an apology for how you treated me. We can't go forward until you do. I need to know you recognize how you treated me was wrong. She wrote back to that and she said, yeah, I think you are right. It's definitely going to be challenging though. I've always picked up the phone anytime my dad calls, no matter what I'm doing, because I want to make sure he's okay. He has had a few health scares. I've called 911 twice now. I think I'll stay in touch just enough to make sure his health is okay, but nothing else beyond that. And I'm not going to share much, if anything, about my life. His actions changed our relationship, and I'm not going to pretend that it didn't. Next comment, right, but now your sister is there all the time and he's chosen her to take care of him. She's got to be the one calling 911 now and making sure he's safe. If you don't set that boundary, then you're always answering the call. If you're always answering that call, then nothing has changed. And to them, you have yet again pushed your own needs aside to pretend nothing has changed and that nothing bad happened. She wrote back to that and said, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not going to let my dad, being a miserable jerk, dictate who I am as a person, if that makes sense. Even if he was awful to me. If someone is an awful person, me being awful in return isn't the answer or the right way of dealing with it. It just makes me gross along with them. I would feel sick if I could have helped him and chose not to, and he suffers. I'm definitely not going to hang around, but if I know something is wrong, I'm going to try to do something about it. Even if it's just asking the cops to do a wellness check or something. I refuse to be the person who knows something and does nothing, which is probably why I'm in the situation in the first place. Next comment. You are not the a-hole. Your sister infuriates me so much. Must not have been much love there for her husband to just discard him when he was no longer useful to her. She is a very, very selfish person. Maybe when she gets ill, this person she chose will just up and leave, and that would be karma. Your dad should have never said what he did to you. He showed you who he cares about, and it's not you. Let them have each other. Just please don't crawl back into that mess when they need you again. And they will, because they're both just users. They will use each other up and will need you again. Don't fall for it. She responded and said, that's what I can't seem to make sense of. Before all of this, they seemed deeply in love and incredibly supportive of each other. Her behavior now feels like a complete 180. While he was in the hospital, she was by his side constantly, crying and praying for his recovery. She even prayed that God would take her instead of him. That's why the way she's acting now is so difficult for me to understand. She is acting like the stroke took his life and he doesn't exist anymore. Next comment, I'm a bit confused why your sister's cooking is supposed to be an issue. Hello? I don't know what just happened. She responded and said if she's going to be the one to live with him and look after him as he ages, she's probably going to be the one who cooks for him as well. Got it. Well, let me know your thoughts on how this was all handled, what you guys think about it. I'll see you in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. Bye.